the sheriff's meeting to order. It is Tuesday, May 25th, 2021. It is 4 p.m. We will have a roll call of council members, but there is not a quorum as of yet, but no decisions need to be made. So roll call vote, please, Abby.
Councilmember Roeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Panabaker?
Yes.
And Council President Satterfield and Councilmember Delanya absent at this time.
Excellent. Excellent. We are grateful for our partners. You are our partners. In fact, you're the ones that run what needs to be done, and more than you ever know, we are grateful for who you are and that you put your lives on the line, as do the people that serve with you. I had a great experience today with Deputy Creighton. Please embarrass him all that you can. It's the case of the missing washer and dryer, and it only took about 3 hours of our time. He was phenomenal, and he got that way because you taught him, and so thank you for that. We want our deputies to be safe and to get home. So what I thought we would do, Sheriff Norris, if you want to come up, or if I could take just a couple minutes, you can do it from right there if that's okay, so we could set you in. As leaders, you asked, there's a lot going on. Growth, in particular, law enforcement, the ability of law enforcement to be able to be effective, to be safe. I don't know that you knew that we've had 2 levies in the last 3 years, 2 levy requests that have gone to the public. In November of 2018, there was a law enforcement road levy that went to the citizens. We need to get a 60% passage on those, and I don't think that it even hit 50%. Immediately following that election, I and other members of the council knew the importance of where we were with respect to law enforcement. So a citizens advisory committee was put together. Matt Street was the representative. Captain? Was it Captain Street? Admiral? He just wanted to be. And then the citizen group was nonpartisan. Anybody that asked to be a part of it was. And they met for months. And they met to identify what were the needs of the city of Hayden and how can those be met. Unanimous recommendation was made to the city council after months of work. And it was agreed upon that we wanted 24-hour dedicated coverage, and that it would take 2.5 deputies to be able to do that on a rotating basis. And so a $403,506 levy was presented to our citizens. It was the cleanest. I thought we would get 75% easily. I thought maybe 80. Hello, we need to recognize Councilmember DeLange is here, so thank you, Jared. And everything was clean. We knew the exact number. We knew that those monies would be allocated specifically to law enforcement, would not be mixed with the general fund. We knew that those monies would then go directly to your account. And 52% approved it. We needed 60. It was one of the saddest, and I had people cheering to me with respect to the fact that we didn't have, that law enforcement wasn't necessary, that it was free. Many of those people were people that you talked to last Tuesday and last Saturday. So you're preaching to the choir now. I'm grateful that you want to initiate a strategic plan associated with law enforcement. We knew 2 years ago that we needed it. So we've gone to the voters twice. 52% was something that I thought was clean and easily done. Disappointed me. So we're gonna need your help. We need to be able to figure out 2 things, and I think it's important as we move forward. The social misrepresentation, distortion, all of those things came out by a small group of people. It wasn't factual. In fact, I met with about 20 people, maybe 30, that voted against the levy. here in the office one-on-one and asked them why. I wanted feedback. Why didn't it get, what didn't we do as a city to communicate correctly? And they told me, then I explained the process that was involved, and to the person, they said, well, that's not what I read online. That's not what I was told. And I said, did you ask us? Did you talk to us? I'll talk to you anytime that you need to. And they said, no, didn't need to. So understand that the majority of individuals in Hayden voting for the levy did so because it was the right thing to do. It wasn't partisan, or wasn't political. It was nothing other than we want dedicated coverage and we want our deputies to be on. So that's the group that you're going to be talking to right now. And we're grateful more than you could ever know for the partnership that this young man next to me set up years ago with the Sheriff's Department. I can say that when a text was sent out, I guess, did it come from you or did it come from Matt about our partnership with the Sheriff's Department? Whatever that was.
This regarding an outside proposal, you know, I hear many of these things.
That's what,
and I
whenever
dismiss
that
them.
came, just know, I've never heard of that. And it's like, stop. Wherever it's coming from, stop. You are our partners. You are our law enforcement. We are grateful. The blessings that have come to our citizens because of you have been phenomenal. We want to keep it that way. So, and we'll talk about other things later, but I just wanted to make sure that we set the standard that this is not adversarial in any nature. We need you, and we are grateful for you. And to show that, twice we've gone to the citizens of Hayden to be able to do what needs to be done from a planning standpoint. So that's where our goal will be down the road, and trust me, it's gonna need to be from your leadership team to drive that with Hayden. Your contacts, however varied and vast they might be, because that's where the grassroots accomplishment will come from. So having set that up, I just wanted to put you at ease, and the time is yours.
Well, we certainly want to partner with you in this endeavor and to be your public service, your public safety agency. Absolutely.
You guys get the guns.
We are your, does this work? Do you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. We are your police department. We want to be your police department today and in the future. I enjoy being your chief of police, and absolutely we enjoy making the relationships that we've made to the citizens of Hayden. Last year, 10,387 calls for service the sheriff's office responded to. About 900 calls just at Walmart, Honeysuckle, and Super One. Right now,
just for the record, because we're here, that was just for the city of Hayden at 10,000.
correct.
That's what we need to make sure.
Yep, 10,387
For the city of Hayden.
for the city of
alone.
Hayden.
Thank you.
Part 1 crime, when you take the multiplication of Part 1 crime per 1,000 residents, the city of Hayden has a higher crime rate than Coeur d'Alene and Post Falls, which is a common formula used when we're talking about crimes per 1,000.
No surprise, that was the way it was years ago, and it's continued, so.
Burglary alarms, panic alarms, razzles, triple play, rusties, tipsies, Tipsy Pine, parking lot of Walmart, and many, many more are not one deputy responses here in the city of Hayden. Now, when this was a community of about 2,500 and we could have responded to some of these events with one person, we could handle that. But I can't send one deputy to many, many of the calls for service here in the city of Hayden. In fact, and we'll talk about some deployment, and Stu will assist me on this, is that it's likely that we're gonna need more people based on the calls for service that you currently have and your projected growth, much more than the 2.5 more that you had wanted to obtain via that levy. So population increase, the complexity of the calls, which right now we are receiving many more calls for service that require a lot more handling time than they did many years ago. From family disturbances to suicide calls to mentally disturbed individual calls, child neglect calls. Right now, our handling time per call is significantly higher than it was years ago. Quite frankly, what I'm trying to tell you, and I'm encouraged by this conversation that I want to start with you. The current Hayden public safety business plan cannot be sustained. We are constantly pulling resources from other areas of the county because we are responding constantly in the city of Hayden. And we are drawing resources from all over the county to service the city of Hayden. Now, really doesn't matter how we got here. You know what? It doesn't matter to me. It's important to me. But as far as a solution forward and what we come up with a plan, that's what I'm more concerned about, is that I want to move forward on a plan to bring an adequate level of law enforcement services and to be officer safety to the city of Hayden. And I really need to stress that, because if I don't have enough deputies to go to many of these locations, we're just gonna have to wait around the corner until we do have enough deputies, because we're pulling them from other areas to come over here. So,
By the way, that was validated today in my ride along, so just know I'm grateful that you're telling us the truth, is that at some point, and I asked specific questions and he gave great answers without divulging anything, that is the case, and I told him I wanted him to go home every night.
and
So,
quite frankly, if this was the city of Bob Norris, I would say we would need 2 deputies on 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. 1 deputy to cover from midnight to about 8. But you would also need a 40-hour car from Wednesday through Saturday from 4 to 2. If this was the city of Bob Norris, is what I would suggest, and which would be a significant increase in what you currently have. Now, I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to consider a public safety strategic plan for the city of Hayden. And I also would like Stu Miller to answer any questions, because Stu was here as a deputy, sergeant, lieutenant, and now he commands the patrol division.
all in 5 years.
Yes.
This is amazing.
Yeah. Yes. Well, there's a common theme here.
Yeah.
Is this what happens after 5 years?
After 5 years.
It was a good 5 years.
Right? Yeah.
But Stu gives a good perspective,
He's
because
just taking care of Chapman, isn't that the real role?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the other role.
But I'd like to, Stu, to talk, just to have a conversation with the council that are present here on, from when he started, and this was about a 4,000 person city,
Yeah.
and what we're experiencing here today.
Yeah.
Stu, were you here when Walt Tipke was the sheriff of Hayden County?
Nope, nope. I lived here, but I was a little bit before my time. Those stripes
I
don't
know
go
that
that deep.
old.
Yes.
It just scares me, so bring us up to date in your mind. Give us
So,
some perspective.
Let me just, and I don't really have a whole lot of talking points to give to you, but I meet with Brett and the staff every 2 weeks and try to keep up on what's going on in the city of Hayden. I started with the sheriff's office in 1996. Started my career in 94 in the city of Spirit Lake, but I've lived here pretty much my entire life. And when I started as a deputy for the sheriff's office, they approached me within my second year in 1998, and I became a Hayden deputy. I was a Hayden deputy for a couple of years, and during that time I attended council meetings and did a lot of code enforcement and meeting with the citizens, and we had a really robust district deputy program at the time based on all the COPS grants that were going on. We were pretty productive. At the time we had 6 Hayden deputies, or at one time up to 6 Hayden deputies, a detective assigned to us, and a plethora of resources. Now, we have not that many, and our calls for service have gone sky high. Our growth has gone sky high, and I can tell you that being a Hayden deputy back then, I did a lot of traffic. Being a Hayden deputy now, they don't have time to do traffic. They are literally going from a call to call to call. But to kind of bring this in perspective, like the sheriff was saying, you can't send, just one deputy to many of these calls. So this morning, I was out driving around patrolling the Kootenai County area, Greater Hayden section, and just a traffic crash in the city of Hayden, which there's a few of them, but the one that responded to it at Prairie and Ramsey, there was 3 of us there. It's not because it was a big, huge crash. It was because of the amount of traffic. There was so much traffic there, right? So just sending somebody to a traffic crash is no longer just a single deputy response. And no longer can we go to, Super One Foods for a minor shoplifting. What it turns into is a huge drug problem, or a huge family domestic dispute, or a huge something else. We had, I don't know if Deputy Creighton had the opportunity to tell you that, he was recently injured in the line of duty, chasing a bad guy from the city, or from Walmart across Highway 95. And he was bunged up pretty good for a while. So just that kind of, those kind of calls, they're not gonna go down. Not by any stretch of the imagination. You look at the building that's going on Hayden Avenue as you're heading out of town. That is a boon. That is gonna bring a lot of people. You build it, they will come. Well, unfortunately, they're already here, and now it's just gonna continue to grow and grow and grow. And so, I echo what the sheriff says. We need to become more strategic on our law enforcement response. The city of Hayden uses a lot of resources, and it's not just the patrol deputies. You have to look at, we had a homicide, in the parking lot of the Tipsy Pine a couple of years ago. Not one Hayden deputy was there, but there was a lot of deputies there, a lot. But also, my entire detectives division was there. All of our professional staff that took care of making sure that the records got recorded correctly and all the paperwork got where it needed to be. There's a lot of,
I brought donuts.
Yes.
It's the best I got.
Yeah.
All I can do is help.
and that was very helpful, yes. But it was all hands on deck, and those kind of events are not becoming fewer, they're becoming more plentiful. And so, like the sheriff said, we need to get that conversation going on how to best bring that to the city and ensure that the city we're responsive to the city's needs.
So how, and we've got both of you, how can we do that together? We've tried twice. We tried and we brought Stu in on the second one. That's Matt.
Yep.
And why did 50 or 100 people get online and go nuts against law enforcement? What was it that caused us to lose the ability to get 60% in your mind? Because you were here for those.
In my mind, I can honestly tell you, I think what it is, I've said it several times, even to my own deputies. The sheriff's office has always been very responsive. If there's a call for service, we flood resources into it. What's happening now is that we're getting calls for service everywhere. And so we're diminishing on our size of being able to send multiple resources into the city of Hayden. If I was a Hayden resident, I would see cops all the time. I would have probably the same opinion. Why do I need more police? I see them everywhere. And I can tell you that it's getting to a point now, we just cannot deploy that type of resource. And now, it's getting harder to do that. You know, we had a traffic crash, homicide up near Athol. Brett called me, I think you tried to call me too. And there was an issue going on in town with a lady that had some issues going on with some political signs and other yucky things, yeah. And we couldn't get somebody to her because all my resources were up north in Athol, handling that. All my detectives, all my patrol guys.
She understood, by the way, it was just, she was terrified.
Yeah.
She's 82 and by herself, hypothetically.
And,
Whoever that was.
and, right, so I can tell you that, you know, we'll get to them, but I think the amount of time that it takes to get to these calls, unfortunately, if they're not in progress and not urgent, they're gonna take some time for us to get to. And, go ahead.
And like I said, you know, that's where we wanna come up with a action plan, and whether that's X amount of dollars per year, then I'm okay with that, you know, and how we get there, I'm not so sure yet. But I don't want to have to say, you know what, we just don't have the resources to go to the property crimes, we just don't have the resources to investigate them. I just don't wanna get to that point, because once that gets out there, I can guarantee you're gonna have more property crimes.
Of course.
So I want to start a conversation with you to say, hey, here's other cities your size. We've done an analysis, the auditors has done an analysis, and just on time and expense only, time and expense, no patrol time, we're at about $1.3 million.
Correct.
But that's no patrol time. That is just merely handling time at Honeysuckle Beach, handling time at Walmart, handling time at Super One, and those are your real three big ones. Is we get about 900 calls for service.
You know.
But so.
But we're gonna need your help to figure out, we tried to do it alone, I don't mean alone,
I think
but-
a strategic plan where we have town hall meetings with the community and say, hey, here's the situation. And then you can point to that strategic plan to say, hey, you know what, we're the 17th largest city in the state of Idaho right now. Other cities, number 14, 15, and 16, 18, 19, and 20, have a public safety budget of 2.6, on average, $2.6 million.
It's just hard to catch up from 0 to
It
80.
it is hard to
And-
catch up
And
once.
that's why we're happy to do that. I mean, I can't speak and I'll let council members speak of, but we've tried it twice. Hard. Last one was, we worked so hard and it was so clean and so right and so specific. I mean, and to let you know, a lot of the people that you're talking to, those were the ones that torpedoed it. I know, I've lived here far too long, and
you
it's
know what?
okay to smile, but
Here's
just
what's great
know.
about, here's what's great about me running for this job is I don't need this job. I'm gonna tell them what the facts are to preserve our quality of life and keep our crime low in the long term. And it doesn't matter what audience is in front of me, I'm gonna tell them the same thing.
You know what? You're the one young man that started this thing. Would you like to comment or ask questions, and then Matt, and then Jerry, so that we can all have a chance to put interaction, but you were the one that inspired this. I don't know what.
Well, it started for me back in the early 1990s. I attended the council, we had a police officer here at the time, I can't remember his name, but you would remember him. One guy by himself, and he had a busted down police car that was given to him by Rocky Watson when Rocky Watson was the sheriff, and the car wouldn't run. So a friend of mine came to a council meeting, why, I don't know, we were here to whine about something, I suppose, I don't remember. But anyway, he's there, and the council is sitting there, and they're mad at him. They're mad at this guy because he lives in Coeur d'Alene, his wife works nights, and so they wouldn't let him drive the police car home because it wouldn't run and he couldn't drive it anyway. So he went down out of his own pocket and bought a battery for the police car. and they were mad because he spent $50 for a battery, and one of them said to him, "What would if you would die, then we're stuck for the $50. Can you imagine that? I mean, I wasn't even involved in politics at the time, and I thought, how stupid can you be? You know, and that's when I started getting interested. I got elected, I was elected in 1988 as mayor. And we had just the remnants of the police department at that time. We didn't have one. And as time went on, we looked at it, and we only had 2,000 people here. There wasn't very many. We had no money. We were in the middle of a recession. People were walking away from adjustable rate mortgage over here in Elmer Estates. You could list 6 houses a day, but you couldn't sell anything to save your life, you know. So what are we gonna do? Well, we needed police protection. We made a deal. We bought $8,000 worth of weight room equipment for the sheriff's department so that they would help us with our policemen. And that's how it started. And over the years, a little more, but we didn't have much population or anything going on. And like the mayor said, you know, there's times when we wanted to do a levy and all that, and we understand people hate government and don't trust government. We all understand that. But we weren't trying to do that. We were just trying to get by on the least amount of money. We had an opportunity to change our levy rate about that time, and the council sat there and looked at that, and why should we take more money from the people than we need? Because we only had 2,000 people. We didn't have all the expenses. We didn't have the fire department. We didn't have the police department. Really didn't need it. We didn't see what was gonna happen down the road. So we didn't do that. Well, they froze the levy rate. We're still fighting that today. And you put it out here today, nobody's gonna vote to raise the doggone levy rate. I mean, people hate government. I made the remark one time at a meeting, it was about a year ago, and I think Abby mentioned it. These people don't appreciate what the hell we've tried to do to save them money over the years and provide the services and all that. And she said, these aren't the same people that you're used to working with. And you know that's right, because we've got 16,000 people here roughly now, and we only had 2 then. So most of them don't know us and don't give a damn whether we do the job or not. That's just unfortunate, but that's the way it is. So then we had an opportunity to step up a little bit. And when I was county commissioner, it got up to around 200,000 a year. I think it was less than that, but we were talking rough those numbers. And Rocky Watson was the sheriff at the time. He wanted us at that time to just turn over $200,000 a year to him. Well, you can hide $8,000 worth of weight room equipment, but when you start talking about $200,000, you've got to make sure that's documented and it's done right. And we couldn't do it, so he got madder than hell at us, and that started. So, but the thing has kept on and it's kept working. All these years that this has been going on, we have known that we need to pay our share. And as the population increases, our share is bigger, and we're not paying as much as you just mentioned to make it right. So we have had some opportunities to do that, the studies, and people got involved, and the information was honest and good, and we put it out there, and it didn't pass. We've even thought about having what do they call that? A local tax.
Local option sales tax.
Yeah, a local option sales tax. With the sole purpose being to provide for road repairs and stuff, which we're falling behind on all the time, and law enforcement, for those 2 things, nothing else. And it's a good plan, but do you think the state in their infinite wisdom would give us the opportunity to do that? Because they don't think we're smart enough to run our own business. And that's the way they've always been. So, that's where we are today. We've tried, we know the responsibility, we appreciate what you do. Oh, and by the way, a number of years ago, we had a study done about the time I came back here on whether we were doing the right thing to have this relationship with the sheriff's department. And the study showed that it was, for us, absolutely the right thing to do. You know, because of where we live, the proximity to the jail, the number of deputies that live in the area and all that, it is the right thing, and we know it, and we appreciate it. We want to continue it. We've got to figure out how to pay for it.